This is QTV News coming to you live from our studios on Kairaba Avenue. I am Asma Uba. Thanks for joining us. Here are the main news headlines. The National Assembly members, most of whom are newly elected, are reviewing the much-anticipated anti-corruption bill to enhance their understanding of it. The Ministry of Higher Education, in collaboration with the Higher Education Council of Turkey, held a high-level technical committee meeting on Monday to strengthen cooperation and agreements in the education sector, among others. The chairman of the Q Group, Mohamed Jah, on Monday employed a team of visiting students from Wisconsin in the USA to establish businesses that will positively impact societies. The Climate Clock organization, in collaboration with the climate change advocates, held a climate rally on Saturday to raise awareness of the impact of climate change. In international news, Lagos state government confirmed that they are planning a mass burial of individuals allegedly linked to anti-police protests in 2020 after a leaked letter made into the public domain. Now those were the headlines. Now the news in detail. Thank you for staying with us. Now, the National Assembly members, most of whom are newly elected, are reviewing the much-anticipated anti-corruption bill to enhance their understanding of it. The bill, when passed, will establish an accountability mechanism to prohibit and punish corruption and economic crimes. The bill is now at its consideration stage after more than 4 years in the hands of the legislature. Mumudalamin Joy has more.
These are the decision makers on what becomes law in the Gambia. Before them is a significant piece of proposed legislation, namely the Anti-Corruption Bill. In 2019, the government introduced the bill in the National Assembly seeking its approval. Since then, it has been in the hands of the legislature and is currently at an advanced stage where NAMs are scrutinizing individual clauses for any necessary amendments before passing it into law. Bile G. Tunkara is the majority leader of the National Assembly.
This anti-corruption also seeks to bring in confidence in our governance system so that the taxpayers will understand that there are rules and regulations guiding dealing with public funds and no offender will go unpunished.
The majority of these National Assembly members are newly elected. Nevertheless, they have inherited many bills, including the Anti-Corruption Bill. At the request of the National Assembly, the Gambia Participates responded and organized this review of the Anti-Corruption Bill. Mar Nyang is the executive director of the Gambia Participates, a civil society organization that fights against corruption and advocates fiscal transparency and accountability.
I think with all the things that is going on around this country, right, we cannot really move the anti-corruption legislation something that could not really address or minimize the poor quality services, misuse of public wealth without much accountability and so on. And so you've been seeing what the Ministry of Justice have been doing now, prosecuting corruption cases, which is really very much encouraging.
The amount of time the Anti-Corruption Bill has spent in the National Assembly has raised public eyebrows, with many speculating why it has taken 4 years without passing. From a technical and administrative standpoint, Khalifa M. Mbai, the Deputy Clerk of Legal and Procedural Matters of the Assembly, has this response.
And in fact, we will not be a party as administrators or technicians to advise Parliament not to follow the due process. In every process, we must follow the due process as far as the consideration of any bill, not irrespective of whether it's an anti-corruption bill or it's another kind of bill. All bills in Parliament undergoes the necessary parliamentary scrutiny, and we believe that the bill is undergoing such a process in Parliament, and by the time the due process is completed, it will be enacted by Parliament.
This year, the latest Afrobarometer survey reports that a majority of Gambians say corruption has increased during the past year, and the government is doing a poor job of fighting it. Afrobarometer is a Pan-African, non-partisan survey research network which provides data on African experiences and evaluations of democracy, governance and quality of life. Unlike other countries in the sub-region, the Gambia does not have an anti-corruption commission or similar body. Nevertheless, the fight against corruption witnessed what some have described as a watershed moment when the Minister of Justice prosecuted the former permanent secretary of the Ministry of Fisheries. He was charged with corruption and economic crimes and subsequently sentenced to a 2-year jail term, which he is currently serving. Mahmoud Lamin Choi, QTV News.
The Ministry of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology, MOHAS, in collaboration with the Higher Education Council of Turkey, York, held a high-level technical committee meeting on Monday to strengthen cooperation and agreements in the education sector, among others. Lolem Kamara reports.
The delegation, which includes experts from the different universities in Turkey, are in the country courtesy of a visit made by the Minister of Higher Education and the late Vice President Badar Ali Juf in December of last year, where both countries agreed to establish a technical committee to identify critical areas of intervention in the areas of education, tourism, capacity development, courses, human resource development and security, among others. Dr. Yusufa Toure, the Permanent Secretary, Minister of Higher Education, further explains.
When we laid our problems, we agreed there in Turkey that we should have this technical committee, and first let them come to the Gambia. We visit our institutions, look at our programs, then we would be able to discuss among ourselves to identify the critical problems, that are besetting our development.
Turkey's ambassador to the Gambia, His Excellency Tolka Bermek, spoke highly of the partnership between the two countries, giving assurance of his country's continuous support to the Gambia. Professor Pierre Gomez, Minister of Higher Education, said the meeting came at a time when the country needs support to improve the quality of teaching and learning, especially in Tibet.
It will usher new centers in this country's regions, and a selected few identified as centers of excellence in Tibet, as well as centers that will focus on specific disciplines which, if successfully implemented, will address poverty among the country's youthful population.
Dr. Nazi Gondogan, Executive Board Member of the Turkey's Council on Higher Education, York, expressed delight at the formation of the technical committees, adding that the meeting reflects the excellent relations between the two countries.
There are 308 Gambian students studying in various fields, especially in social sciences at Turkish universities. We hope to more students from the Gambia. Turkey is their second home.
Dr. Yusufa Toure, the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Higher Education, spoke about the outcome of the meeting.
Tomorrow we would be looking at those institutions out there that would need support and where further support would be needed. But they would see the institutions, they would see the niche where these institutions are, that's the population and the people around, the socio-economic conditions of this country. Then that would give you that clear view, of what we actually need. And together with our experts in the country, then we would pave the way out.
This meeting is also important because Gambian students will benefit from Turkey's scholarship program and also help improve their technical and vocational education and training in Tibet for self-employment and employability. For QTV News, Lolly M. Kamara.
The chairman of the Q Group, Mohamed Jah, on Monday employed a team of visiting students from Wisconsin in the USA to establish businesses that will positively impact societies. He made these remarks after the students visited several Q Group companies. Ansumana Isonyasi reports.
The students are from the CEOs of Tomorrow, a non-profit organization that nurtures and supports young entrepreneurs in Wisconsin. Their visit to the Gambia was made possible thanks to the strong ties between Wisconsin and Canifing Municipal Council. Inspired by the story and success of Q Group chairman Mohamed Jah, whose remarkable journey to the summit of the country's business sector has inspired many young entrepreneurs. These young entrepreneurs, who are hoping to become reputable CEOs in future, were led on their tour by Lassana Tunkara, Q Group's head of corporate affairs. They began their tour by visiting Q City, the country's first and only multi-purpose facility that caters for entertainment, leisure, hospitality and sporting activities. Here, they visited various sports courts including the tennis and basketball courts, children's playgrounds, the gym, cinema, the main hall, as well as the hotel. From Q City, they visited the showroom at Espas Motors, where cars of some of the world's most renowned brands are on sale. Here, the students engaged ESPA staff who also explained the other services they offer. This was followed by a visit to QTV studios on Kairaba Avenue, where they visited various departments and the new QTV studios currently under construction. Then, the students paid a courtesy call on Chairman Mohamed Jah, who expressed delight at receiving them.
When I look at the journey where we started, to now, we feel proud that we are able to, to achieve this much. But we think we have much more to do in the future with the young guys, innovative people coming. Well, we hire all the time new young people. They are coming with new ideas, and we embrace it.
Mr. Jah also revealed that his business principles that hinge on honesty, dedication and discipline are derived from his Islamic roots, and went on to share how his strong belief in Africa's potential inspired his investments that now stretch across the continent and beyond.
So we welcome you to Gambia, and we hope that you would learn something from here. I'm sure most of you have realized that it's a totally different environment to where you come from. It's a developing country, and we are engaged in different sectors of the economy. As Mr. Tunkara said, we are currently the biggest employer in the country. We employ hundreds of people, and we are also among the biggest taxpayers, and we are also operating in other countries other than Gambia. We are in Sierra Leone, and we are also in London. We have a logistics and procurement company there.
On behalf of the visiting students, Quintin Maddox thanked Chairman Jah and the Q Group for the opportunity given to them.
On the behalf of CEOs of Tomorrow, we'd like to thank you. This experience, so grateful for it. I think what it really gave us is a lot of perspective and just the difference from America and how things operate. And then your story, like a lot of people say like your story is similar to the American dream, but I think it's just like the dream because because anybody can do it anywhere.
The American students are being led by Dr. Roxy Hens, CEO and founder of the Madison non-profit CEOs of Tomorrow, who also thanked Mayor Talib Ahmed Bensouda and KMC for their partnership and support. Ansmane Sonyasi for QTV News.
From that story by Ansmane Sonyasi, it takes us to a commercial break, but when we return, we have more local business as well as international news stories for you. Do stay tuned.
National Roads Authority, the implementing agency for the Barting-Harding Highway Widening Project, in collaboration with the Ministry of Works, the contractors, Areski, the consultant, South Consult, Gamtech GV, OIC Gambia, and partners, seek the support of the public in the implementation of the project as Phase 1 nears completion. Drivers are strongly advised to exercise caution, adhere to speed limits and respect traffic diversions. Pedestrians and vendors are urged to maintain a safe distance from the road. The authority reminds the public that the right-of-way remains at 40 meters from the road, center line on both sides. Property owners are therefore urged to respect reserved allocation and refrain from encroachment. The understanding and cooperation of the public are highly solicited. This announcement is brought to you by the National Roads Authority.
To make sure your company's products and services reach your potential customers, it is essential that you choose the right channel for your marketing purposes. QTV has the widest reach locally and beyond, and we can give your business the visibility it needs. Call QTV Marketing on +220 324 4444 or email us at marketing@qtv.gm and take your business to the world.
Welcome back. If you're just tuning in, you're watching QTV News, and I am Asma Uba. Now, the Climate Clock organization, in collaboration with climate change advocates, held a climate rally on Saturday to raise awareness of the urgency of climate action. Lamin Dabo attended and he filed this report.
The event began with a march past along Kairaba Avenue to the Youth Monument at Westfield, where climate advocates and activists gave speeches. Kemo Fati, the executive director of Green Up Gambia, says fighting the effects of climate change should be everyone's business.
I want us all to change our individual efforts in a sense that, most of our small little actions that we do, we never realize that they always come back to us and they haunt us. It's as simple as when you take something from a plastic and then you throw it. It may end up on your plate one way or another.
Momodu Inkeba, president of the Gambia Environment Alliance, calls for concerted efforts to combat the effects of climate change.
So it is quite important that we as a people stand firm and strong to fight the effects of climate change by taking climate action in our little ways, be it on recycling, be it on plastic, be it on beach cleanups, be it on restoration, that is tree planting. Whatever we can do, whatever we can contribute in our way, in every way that we can, is quite important for us.
Dauda Cham, a climate activist, urges the public to do whatever it takes to save our coastline from the devastating effect of climate change.
In 50 years, research shows that Banjul, as a capital city, will submerge or will be inundated, which means Banjul will not be in existence. And this applies to the other coastal regions, the rights of Fajara. If you go to the beach, you could see how the water is eating up Fajara. So these are signs for us to take the action against climate change.
Fatu Egeng, finance officer for the Gambia Environment Alliance, appeals to her fellow women to take the lead in the fight against climate change at household level.
We have only 5 years now to go, and we can change it. How can we women change it? Let us try in our own compound, in our own family. Let us try and plant as many trees. As a family, I mean, you have children. Let them not be cutting down the trees. Let them plant and take care.
Karamo Tamba, a representative of the Community Action Platform for Environment and Development, CAPE, also has this to say.
To see our environment being destroyed by our authorities every day and nothing is being done about it. We think it is fun. This is very devastating. There is no reserve land left in the Gambia now. From the Tambi wetlands all the way to Senegambia, on both sides of the Battle Hardin Highway, there is no space left. Where are we heading to?
At the end of the event, the climate and environment activists made pledges and renewed their commitment by reading out the Banjul Declaration, which was launched by the then President Sir Dawda Kairaba Jawara in 1977 and highlights the protection and conservation of our country's flora and fauna. For QTV News, Lamin Alaifandin Dabo.
That story by Lamin Dabo on climate change takes us to business news. Frontstar Driving School graduated more than 2 dozen trainee drivers who completed a month-long training course, having passed different tests at the Independence Stadium grounds on Saturday. Mumudu Gajaga was in attendance and he now reports.
Frontstar Driving School, the leading driving school in the Gambia, graduated their 32nd batch of students on Saturday. The trainees had undergone an intensive month-long course. Among the more than 2 dozen who passed the test on the day are Fatou Cisse and Sirifo Toure. They said their experiences in learning how to drive with Frontstar Driving.
Kana moto ninjang bare na kuma so anim bitema anyato ta drone sotoje
It's my first time to learn driving at Frontstar. I cherish every moment of my time here. Their service is excellent. They have good instructors who are calm, patient and disciplined.
Ila service beteyata dindingol kuluta ye kebal bunya yalan kebal katarya nel kebal tanyo ya mandia bal alhamdulillah kabdina ta jam problem soto femfe nyanta ka kenya me.
You know, we the elders can forget a lot, so they make sure that we are treated well when they are teaching us. I am calling on everyone who wants to learn driving to come to Frontstar Driving.
All those who've been through this driving school had to pass a mandatory vision test learn the highway code and do the practicals of driving to be certified before plying the roads. Amadou Jallo, one of the lead testing officers of Front Star Driving, explains.
The key issues are, normally we go for eye vision tests, and from there we go on the highway code. That's the theory part of it. And we will come to the practical part. That's the bay parking, parallel parking, and reverse parking. And already before this test, we have make another test before this one on a highway codes and the highway driving.
Front Star Driving is under the parent company of Front Star Housing, which does housing, real estate, property management, amongst others. They have branches in Kanifing, Brikama, Farafenye, Basse, and substations in Jarasoma and Sukuta traffic lights. Here is Antoinette Mendy, the Social Services Manager of Front Star Housing.
These people work in the homes as professional workers. Some are cooks, some are people that launder, and some are cleaners. So at the end of the day, we have to contact the customers to see how best is the service for them, whether it's efficient or not, and we'll see the ways of improving it. It's just a way of minimizing unemployment, especially the youths.
As part of their added offers, Front Star provides a professional domestic worker service. Aida Jane, a customer enjoying the professional domestic worker service, she shares her experience.
Because I will say their service is good because they satisfy their customers, from picking your calls to giving you replacement if you are not satisfied with a particular worker.
Front Star has quickly established a reputation as the biggest and the best driving school since its inception in 2020. And for the first time, all the students passed with 80% or more in their test. You can contact Front Star Housing and Driving School on this toll-free number 1218. Mamudu Gajaga, QTV News.
That story by Mamudu Gajaga takes us to international news. Lagos State government confirmed that they are planning a mass burial of individuals allegedly linked to anti-police protests in 2020 after a leaked letter made into the public domain. Jennifer Sonko has the details.
On Sunday, local media published a leaked letter from the Lagos Public Procurement Agency informing a local funeral parlor to prepare for mass burials of 103 people who were 2020 EndSARS victims. The memo, dated July 19, 2023, contains steps for the processing of funds after approval by the governor. EndSARS is a decentralized social movement and series of mass protests against police brutality in Nigeria. The slogan calls for the disbanding of the Special Anti-Robbery Squad SAS, a unit of the Nigerian police with allegedly a long record of abuse of Nigerian citizens. During the 2021 protests, security forces allegedly opened fire at the Lekki toll gate venue, killing dozens. The government has denied the incident since it happened 3 years ago, and in December 2021, Lagos State rejected claims that security forces carried out a massacre of unarmed protesters, maintaining only one person suffered a gunshot wound during the protests. The local state governor issued a statement on Sunday evening clarifying that those to be buried were not victims from the Lekki toll gate venue. They claimed they were bodies revived from other parts of the city that had also seen violence, not from the EndSARS protests as being inferred in publications, the state government said. Following this new information about the deaths, Amnesty International's Nigerian office accused the authorities of covering up the true death toll from the protests. Men associated with the government, directly or indirectly, sponsored thugs, attacked and injured, and in some cases killed protesters. You can see the government shifting the goalposts every now and then, which shows a lack of honesty. The group's Nigeria director, Aisha Sanusi, told the Associated Press AP News Agency. Reporting for QTV News, I am Jennifer Sonko.
Such an unfortunate situation there. That's all we have for you. But before you go, a recap of our news headlines. National Assembly members, most of whom are newly elected, are reviewing the much-anticipated anti-corruption bill to enhance their understanding of it. The Ministry of Higher Education, in collaboration with the Higher Education Council of Turkey, held a high-level technical committee meeting on Monday to strengthen cooperation and agreements in the education sector, among others. The chairman of the Q Group, Mohamed Jah, on Monday employed a team of visiting students from Wisconsin in the USA to establish businesses that will positively impact societies. The Climate Clock organization, in collaboration with climate change advocates, held a climate rally on Saturday to raise awareness about the impact of climate change. In international news, Lagos state government confirmed that they are planning a mass burial of individuals allegedly linked to anti-police protests in 2020 after a leaked letter made into the public domain. That's all we have for you on this news bulletin. Join us again at 10 p.m. for more news. Thanks for watching.